Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into something that is literally reshaping our minds and our world right under our noses. We're talking about the invisible forces, specifically the algorithms that power our machines and why they actually pose a direct threat to human agency. So let's jump right in and look at what's really going on behind those screens we stare at every single day. I want you to think about something for a second. Have you clicked accept cookies today? I mean, we all do it, right? It's just that mindless little tap to get to the article or video we actually want to see. But here's the thing, that tiny, seemingly harmless action is kind of the ultimate Trojan horse of the digital age. It feels like this minor trade-off for a smoother web experience, but as you'll see in a minute, the true cost of that click is honestly staggering. Because you see, we aren't just handing over random data points like a zip code or what browser we're using. No, we're providing the absolute blueprints to our psychological architecture. Every click, every pause, every little scroll, it's all measured. We're essentially making a Faustian bargain, trading our cognitive autonomy, which is our ability to make free, unmanipulated choices, for what is really just the illusion of convenience. Which brings us to part one, the illusion of convenience, trading our data for a less human world. We tell ourselves we're giving up some privacy just to, order a pizza online faster or get a quick movie recommendation. But let's look at the reality of this so-called convenience. We're constantly navigating self-checkouts, we're trying to get a real human on the phone for customer service, basically screaming representative into the receiver, right? What we're actually doing is making the world incredibly efficient and hugely profitable for big tech. But at the exact same time, they're making the world significantly less human for all of us. So here's how the trap works. Step 1, we seek convenience. Step 2, we accept the tracking. And then step 3 kicks in. The algorithms go to work. The danger isn't just that they're tracking us, it's that they take all that data and use it to model our behavior. They actively exploit our psychological vulnerabilities, map out our impulses, and then curate a digital reality optimized entirely for engagement rather than truth. Their only real goal? Keep you scrolling. To put the sheer scale of this into perspective, think about this number. An estimated 90% of all the data in the world was generated in just the last 2 years alone. 90%. Much of it is just this massive sea of unstructured data, but it acts as high-octane fuel for these predictive machines. The machine is learning exactly how to monopolize your attention using an amount of information that is completely unprecedented in human history. All right, let's move on to section 2. Inside the black box, governed by invisible systems of power. These complex deep learning systems basically operate like an opaque black box. And what's wild is that even the developers, the people actually writing the code, admit they don't always know exactly how their own algorithms arrive at certain decisions. The machine is just finding hidden patterns across millions of variables. Yet these totally invisible systems are now governing our daily lives, deciding what information we see, and even shaping our democratic processes. We're being governed by systems we can't fully see, let alone question. Now, you might hear that algorithms are objective because, well, it's just math, right? But according to researcher Van Otterlo, that is absolutely not the case. They generally fall into 3 specific buckets that actively shape our reality. First, you have algorithms that search and infer, which are a constant threat to privacy because they connect dots we didn't even know were there. Second, algorithms that learn patterns to profile us, which hits our autonomy by hyper-personalizing our feeds. And third, optimization algorithms. These actually rank things and people, dictating the best choices and directly controlling outcomes in everything from dating apps to getting a job interview. And because these artificial neural networks are designed to mimic human brains, they inevitably absorb human flaws. They soak up their creators' blind spots and the historical biases buried in the data. And since they operate on such a massive scale, they run the risk of automating our darkest edges into a literal digital dystopia. They aren't erasing human bias, they're institutionalizing it, just dressing it up as objective math. Which leads us to section 3, architecting our domestication, from users to the inventory of surveillance capitalism. This brings up a pretty chilling point from the source material. We always worry about our phones spying on us or listening in on our conversations. But honestly, the algorithm doesn't even need to spy. It just needs to know your patterns. By analyzing what you click, how long you hover on a photo, or what time of night you're scrolling, it increasingly knows you better than your friends, your family, or even your therapist. We are very quickly shifting from being the users of technology to being the actual inventory of surveillance capitalism.
And let's be clear, this is entirely intentional. Tech giants are facing serious legal scrutiny right now because internal documents show they know their platforms are engineered to exploit our dopamine cycles. They're designed to hijack our attention. And perhaps most concerning of all, they're unleashing these incredibly persuasive algorithms onto developing minds, which correlates with massive spikes in youth anxiety and depression. They know these systems cause real harm, but they just keep monetizing our time anyway.
So what we have here is a massive clash between the cold, mathematical goals of the machine and our messy human reality. On one side, the machine wants efficiency, scalability, and to squeeze a dime out of every second of your time. But on the other side, you have us, humans. We're emotionally vulnerable, we're susceptible to anxiety, and we have a deep, fundamental need for genuine connection. It's a completely mismatched battle.
That mismatch brings us to Section 4, the empathy deficit, the dangers of replacing humans with algorithms.
Have you ever heard of Moravec's paradox? It's this really fascinating concept. It basically says that what's incredibly easy for machines, like super complex math or extracting massive amounts of data, is really hard for humans. But flip it around. What's incredibly hard for machines, like having intuition, feeling empathy, or just navigating a normal, unstructured conversation, is exactly what comes naturally to us. It's what makes human interaction so vital. As one of the speakers in our sources pointed out so perfectly, artificial intelligence has zero morals. No ethics, no compassion, no empathy. A computer doesn't know what it's like to experience grief or love, or even just the feeling of being exhausted at the end of a long day. Sure, it can mimic those things, but it's a cheap imitation. These systems desperately need us to bring our humanity, to bring our hearts into the room. And yet look at what we're doing. We're willingly letting algorithms act as gatekeepers. When we use AI to decide who gets into college, who gets hired, or even for predictive policing, we are handing vital social functions over to systems completely stripped of moral capability. We're replacing human judgment, but without the machine bearing any of the human responsibility. If an algorithm makes a mistake that ruins someone's life, it doesn't feel guilty. We really have to ask ourselves why we're letting systems that can't experience life govern the lives of people who do.
So, how do we fix this? Section 5, Reclaiming Cognitive Autonomy, Awakening from the Illusion.
We have to start actively fighting for our cognitive autonomy. That's your fundamental right to make your own choices, totally unmanipulated by an algorithm that's just trying to optimize your behavior to make a buck. And getting our agency back requires way more than just, tweaking a few privacy settings or turning off push notifications. It demands a full intellectual awakening to how these systems actually operate. One really inspiring example of this awakening is happening in education right now. Take Sweden, for example. They are actively pushing a back-to-books movement. After consulting with neuroscientists, they recognized the severe cognitive disruption that screens and hyper-digital learning were causing in classrooms. So they're actually shifting back to physical books and writing on real paper. They realized that true cognitive development requires deep discovery and whole-mind learning, not just fast algorithmic efficiency on a screen. The famous science fiction writer Arthur C. Clarke once said that any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. But guys, we cannot treat AI like magic. We need to take the magic out of algorithms. We have to stop seeing them as these omniscient wizards that we have to blindly obey, and start seeing them for what they really are, mathematical tools. And as tools, we have the right and the duty to regulate, audit, and control them. It is so incredibly important that we step off this hamster wheel of endless scrolling. We have to reject the so-called convenience of being nothing more than a data point in a manufactured, highly profitable feedback loop. We need to insist on building and participating in systems that actually respect our inherent humanity rather than constantly trying to subvert it just for the sake of scale and efficiency. So I'll leave you to ponder this one final thought as we wrap up our explainer today. In a world where machines might soon hold the sum total of all recorded human knowledge, what is it that actually makes us uniquely human? If the machine has all the data, isn't our capacity to feel, to grieve, to love, to empathize, and to genuinely connect with one another, isn't that the only true power we really have left? It's a massive question for our future. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive, and please keep questioning the invisible systems around you.